I'm being joined by the Minister of Labor and Employment, Senator Ngige, who joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight on the program. And let's get to it by first getting to know, have you gotten an official statement or official letter from ASUU indicating that they're going to go on strike should their demands not be met in 3 weeks?
No, I'm still in the office and I'm working. As up till now, I have not gotten any communication from them. But so that is not to say that having seen them addressing press conferences and reading from the media that they have issued such an ultimatum, the government will not be proactive, or the Ministry of Labor will not be proactive, because one of the mandates of the ministry is to stem industrial disputes. So as far as we are concerned, we've hit the ground running, making contact with the real employers. The direct employers of university teachers are actually Ministry of Education and the National Universities Commission. So we have gotten in touch with them. Not only today, last week I was in touch with the Minister of Education, who is far away Berlin, and the other Minister of State, who was also away to the UK for the Green Energy Conference. So the truth of the matter is that ASUU has a right. They have a right to say they are not very happy, but at the same time, I have confirmed with the government side. I have been pushing all of them from the NIDA, which is the government agency who is responsible for approving their UTAS, and the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, and the Executive Secretary for the allowances, which is not only for ASUU, but for all the unions, all the workers in the university system, and also the issue of the 30 billion for revitalization. The truth of the matter is that 2 weeks ago, I had pulled up everybody. So we look at the level of implementation. And at that meeting, the Ministry of Education and the NUC, the Executive Secretary, Professor Rashid, they gave us a report which ASUU themselves agreed to. And that is the situation. They have mapped out the universities for, one, the end allowances, which they divided 75% to ASUU, and
it seems there is a little glitch there with the minister's connection. Maybe a breather, so we can hear what the ASUU president said at the press conference yesterday. Then perhaps the network on the side of the minister will have buffered and we can hear him again. Let's take a look at the ASUU president and their demands.
Within 3 years, the man could move from becoming lecturer 1 to becoming a professor. In another few weeks, it will be 1 year since our union basically suspended the 9-month strike action occasioned by the federal government refusal to implement the 2009 agreement and the several MOU and MOA. You are all aware of this, that based on the agreement we reached the government in December 2020 and the promises they made, we suspended that strike. But unfortunately, as we speak so, virtually all the items in that MOA have not been implemented.
The big question and the demands that ASUU have come to town with, not totally different from what they said a year, 2 years ago. They've been asking that the government comply with some of the promises. The government says it has a platform to pay workers that are on the government payroll called IPs. But they said that will not work for the university lecturers. So they came to an agreement, and they said they have a platform that they can develop to, if the government is not going to pay them on that, and they're not willing to be paid on that platform because, according to them, it doesn't really work for them. So the minister is back now. Let me ask again. You made a promise. October last year was what you hope that you are going to make the revitalization fund ready. Is the fund ready now?
The fund is ready. The fund is in the account of the needs account of the National Universities Commission and the Ministry of Education. They were doing what they call auditing of the earlier disbursed fund. Universities were supposed to retire the earlier funds given to them. As of the last meeting, 11 universities have not satisfactorily done that. And therefore, we gave a time frame of 2 weeks for them to get those universities to conform, and then they will release the money. So up till today, I learned from the Ministry of Education that the Ministry of Finance to pay the universities that are unencumbered. And I think that is the rightful thing to do. So the letter is going out there tomorrow for that.
One is curious why it's taking a year before this is happening. In fact, it's not totally completed. It's over a year since you made that promise.
It's not a year. No, it's not a year. What was agreed before in December last year had been paid. So this one now is the subsequent payments that is due. The other ones have been paid January, February. This is now the second tranche that is due in the agreement. So what we are paying as EAA is 22.72 billion. For this tranche is appropriated is already to Ministry of Education account. 30 billion is for revitalization. It is also CBN account. The budget office and Ministry of Finance show that. I'm not trying to make a case for Ministry of Education, and then you see why they should not do what they're supposed to do. But I know that before the next 2 weeks, we can sort out some of those low-hanging fruits. There are no problem because the money is already there. Yes.
We can hold on to the promise you made, and we can keep disturbing you, Minister, because you are the conciliator between these unions and the federal government and the appropriate ministries, either the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Health, as the case may arise. But in the case of the Ministry of Education, it does look like what you're telling us tonight is totally different from the position of ASUU or what ASUU, the information ASUU has. The university lecturers do not think that you have done anything between the last time you spoke with them and you made those promises and you shook hands with them and they were happy. They feel betrayed because after all those meetings, they felt the federal government is not sincere.
I have, as Minister of Labor, even crossed my own territory. I've done extraterritorial jobs to make sure that they satisfy their members. I understand the problem of fiery association like us. So, but all the same, they know I'm doing my best for them. I'm the one talking to finance, talking to education, talking to NUC and everything. So actually, I'm not I'm just trying to see if I can now be an enforcer of an agreement, but a conciliator. So that is it.
Minister, there is a case that the lecturers are making, and part of it is the disappointment in the state of education in the country. And they're saying, look, if some of the people in government have their own words in the universities in Nigeria, perhaps they would have treated the case differently. This drag and this delay wouldn't have happened. And they question the seriousness of government in relation to some of these cases. For example, Minister, some of these lecturers are still being owed several months of salaries.
Well, Sean, your question now is triple barrel. You bring in the case of the quality and standard of our education system, then the issue of salaries, and then the issue of public officers not having their children go to school here. The state of education here is not anything anymore to cheer about. I agree. The standard has fallen. I agree. But education cannot be funded by government alone. I know that because I schooled here in Nigeria. I did my primary education here, secondary school education here, university education here in Nsukka and Enugu, and I did my postgraduate years outside the country. But I can tell you very simply that in other climes, education is not only done by government. So ASUU says they have some proposals they have given to the employers, and I think the employers are looking at that proposal because that's the only way out. The only way out is for us to give quality education to the people here, the type we received. And by the time we received that education was not free for everybody. It wasn't. In my university days, we had people who were on what they call indigent loan, people who are indigent. If your parents cannot pay the school fees, then you are called an indigent student, and you get a loan, repayable loan from the loan board. Then you have those who are on bursary, 50-50. You also pay back something, or you're bonded. You have people who are on scholarship. If you do an aggregate 18, which is A3 times 6, because aggregation is done on 6 subjects, from 18 to aggregate 6, you're on federal government scholarship, or even your state government scholarship. It's done that time. I enjoyed the federal government scholarship and left it to go into my East Central State scholarship, which was bigger in quantum of money and was even paying for books for us. So you could see that we didn't leave education only for government. People were paying, and they were paying fees you can call appropriate fees for that time.
Minister, if I apologize if I may cut in quickly. If I may cut in quickly, Minister, nobody is asking nobody's questioning government or raising issues about private-owned, established or privately owned institutions or universities. We're talking about the institutions or the universities owned by government. I'm not sure the last time you visited any of these public universities, these federal universities. It's shameful and a kind of national disaster if you look at some of the facilities in our federal universities. The places are not even habitable for some of the students they are hostels. Their classrooms are not even a place where you can sit and learn. And one will wonder what is being done in that respect. The question is about public institutions, not private. And so when you say that government alone cannot do it, but what the ones governments have, what is government doing about it? And the question is that these words and these students will go back home and sit at home yet again if government does nothing.
Show the quality of education, the standard, the classrooms you're talking about the lecture halls you're talking about, these are questions for Minister of Education. People he manages State Fund, SUBEM, and the rest of them all. They are the questions channeled to them. Even the proposal of us, I haven't seen it. It's with their employers, Ministry of Education. However, having said that, it is not as being painted as gory as it is. No. I have my children in public universities here. One of them has graduated in the university.
Yet again, technology is really making it difficult for us to get the minister. But, I mean, if the minister can hear me, I'm probably, let me fire the last question for us to wrap up. The question is that the fear a lot of people have is that we do not want to see what happened the last time when the students stayed home for months on ending. And that is the biggest fear. So, with the lecturers threatening to go on strike, and nobody wants to see that happening, what are you going to give as a guarantee to Nigerians, who are millions of them who are watching right now, that that strike will not happen, and you're going to meet the promises and the demands of these lecturers?
The strike will not happen. For one, I know that the funds to pay is there. And the Ministry of Education has assured me that by tomorrow, they will emanate letters to make sure that the disbursement reaches the account of the various universities. We're not paying the unions directly, so it will get to the university accounts. So tomorrow, I have a meeting with the Minister of Education, State, who is the one in charge of affairs now, because the main minister is overseas on head grounds. So I will evaluate the situation with him, and we'll make sure that the disbursement goes on. As for the payment system, the UTAS, NIDA has done, in fact, he has done a lot in that respect. They have done acceptance user test, which is a critical test. And they have brought university bosses and managers to Abuja here. And they've all agreed and looked at the system. The hardware, I think the National Universities Commission have also made provision for it, both the space and wherever.
So when will it be active? And, when will the UTAS be live? When will it be active? When will it be deployed fully?
Are working together. You should be asking ASUU. ASUU, because they're working in conjunction with NIDA. We have a committee of ASUU, NIDA, and National Universities Commission. They are not giving me a time.
But the question is that what ASUU had told us on this program is that from their own end, they've done everything possible, everything needed to be done. NIDA has certified it, but from the federal government point of view, when are you deploying it? When will you start paying their monies into UTAS?
I cannot answer you to that, Sharon. I'm not a member of that committee. When the committee brings their reports, ASUU will be there, NIDA will be there, National Universities Commission will be there, and we'll then discuss. They will tell us where they are so far. Don't buy everything hook, line, and sinker like federal government is not doing anything. If it's a system we don't even want to use at all, from day one, we will say it. And we will not waste anybody's time. But this government believes in homegrown things. We believe in local content. That's why the president has brought out the Order 5 and Order 3 for local content. So this is part of local content, so that we can save foreign exchange of the country. Full support of...
All right, we're due for a break, but I will plead to flout an internal rule here at Channels Television, just for the sake to get this very important question in. And I'd like the minister, maybe you can answer in 30 seconds. It is it is sickening, actually. It doesn't make a lot of Nigerians happy when you hear this one labor issue or the other, the workers threatening strike, SANU, ASUU, health workers. When will the government be able to live up to expectations and its promises, such that we are not hearing every day that workers want to go on strike?
Well, I've given you an instance of where government has brought 22.72 billion for earned allowances, which means earned academic allowances due to other workers' union. And they cannot even agree on the modality for sharing. Government gives 75, 25, and the other group is threatening strike and saying ASUU has been favored. Would you stop them from threatening strike? The answer is no. You cannot. The health sector, they are managing their workers. We are doing a hazard allowance negotiation. We are going to finish it as soon as possible. And then government will start paying it. It's already in the government budget for 2022. Government have budgeted 50 billion for that. It's there. It's just for the workers there to agree on the mode of sharing. So some of these things are economic bearing because of the excruciating economic situation everybody is in now. The pockets have been eaten into and people need more money. So you will not stop hearing of threats of people who want to threaten strike or threaten industrial action or even threaten picketing. No, you cannot. For as long as the situation is like this, Sharon. But on the ASUU,
All right.
I can tell you
Minister,
that in the next 2
we
weeks,
hold
I
on
will
to your word
involve
tonight, and we hope that the strike will not happen as you promised, and government will do its own side of the bargain, and the students in our universities will stay. Education is very important for our national development. We must sincerely thank you tonight, Senator Chris Ngige, Honorable Minister for Labor and Employment. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.